So my name is François. I'm a VP of Product Management at Avid. Essentially, I look after all of our audio products. Today I have with me Paul Vercellotti. What do you do at Avid, Paul?
Software architect for Pro Tools and related audio products.
And Sam Butler.
Hi, I mainly look after Sibelius, but more recently been looking after SDKs in Pro Tools.
I wanted to start, and hopefully he's watching online. I wanted to give a shout out to our dear friend Ed Gray, who is not with us in this conference. As some of you may know, he's been struggling with a lot of health-related challenges, and it was a little too much for him to travel all the way. I know he's with us in spirit, and especially after watching the accessibility panel and all the work that Ed has put towards accessibility in Pro Tools, I wanted to give him a shout out and give him a little round of applause because he's a mainstay of this community. All right, here's what we'd like to talk about today. We want to talk to you a little bit about Avid's philosophy around SDKs, and I hope this will mark sort of new beginnings in the way we work with the community at large. We're going to go through some of the SDKs that are available today. Most of you are probably aware of what we have, but maybe you'll learn something there as to what you can leverage from Avid today. We're going to be announcing the new Pro Tools scripting SDK, which it's a total preview. No, we've not really talked to anybody else about it, so it's fresh, and it's coming up next month. And then also kind of touch on what our vision is for future SDKs and how we'd like to get you excited about things coming to the Pro Tools world and new areas of integrations that you'll be able to leverage in the near future. So about this changing philosophy, it's kind of interesting when you look at sort of the history of Pro Tools for the past 30 years. One of the things that's made Pro Tools so successful is our sort of plugin ecosystem. You know, we started this thing, we had actually Ed back in the day was like knocking on the doors of all developers and like, please make plugins for Pro Tools. And we ended up with this huge, wonderful ecosystems of tools that work with Pro Tools, and that's made a lot of our success. But over the years, the approach from the company has been sort of a little of a mixed bag. Some of it was very open, some of it was a little closed off. And we didn't have all the sort of touch points and SDK and APIs that would allow developers to make really cool things for Pro Tools. And so we were a little protective of our environment. But that said, many people who are actually in this room have done really amazing things and have figured out really innovative ways of creating sort of workflow enhancing tools that our users use every day, rely on every day to make their job faster, easier, more creative. And so, you know, with that in mind, obviously our philosophy now is to really make Pro Tools a better environment for our users. And our job is really to work on sort of new features in Pro Tools, compatibility, but then we really want to leverage the innovation of people in this room and people attending this conference and developers all around the world that have really amazing ideas, are nimble, are bringing completely new things to the table. And those are things that we're a pretty big company, we have some resources, but there are some of these things that we'll never be able to get to. And so as a result, it's really high time for us to adopt a more open ecosystem approach and giving audio developers the tools that they need to create not only innovative, but high-performing, really robust solutions that can be tightly integrated with Pro Tools. So I hope, wanted to really make that statement up front that we are sort of shifting course a little bit and wanting to make our ecosystem way more open and welcoming. Now, with all that said, we already have quite a few SDKs available today, and I'd like Paul to talk to those for a minute.
Yeah, so most everybody knows our AX audio processing platform for making plugins, Yukon for control surfaces, which for other audio apps, and then on the on Sibelius side, we have both iOS and the cloud publishing APIs. You'll also, if you've been watching recent releases, we've integrated with Selenity's ARA API with Melodyne being the first integration there. We hope to open that up in the future for further integration. That goes hand in hand with AAX plugins. But we'd like to use these as a starting point, and we want to expand our SDK offerings. So we hope to talk about that continuing here.
Yeah, totally. And one thing that I'd like to mention as well on these existing SDKs, please do feel free to reach out to us here, but it's not that much time left in the conference, or generally speaking throughout the year, reaching out to us about things that you need in the SDKs. I know we are more things that we'd like to add to the Axe SDK for plugin makers, on top of everything else that we are making. So please don't hesitate to reach out and have a conversation with the team about the things you need in Pro Tools. But the thing, kind of the topic of the day, I'd say, is the Pro Tools scripting SDK, which is something that we've been working on for a little bit, and sort of came about in sort of looking at some of the tools that have existed, sort of making better workflows with Pro Tools. And we have some folks here in the room that have been creating amazing tools and using a lot of interesting ways of hooking up into the Pro Tools world, and we want to make it way better for them. And that's kind of the impetus behind it, is to give the actual real hooks into how Pro Tools operates. So Pro Tools Scripting SDK is basically an open language independent API that allows you to create automated workflows. And by the way, we will show you, Paul will spend some time showing you what instructions are available today and how it works. We even have a little video that shows you how it works. Allows you to create apps to control Pro Tools in basically any language. It's fully cross-platform, so you're no longer tied to just doing stuff on the Mac OS because they have more tools in the OS. Now we'll be able to do this on Windows as well. Allows for inter-process for working between applications. Timeline for release, we're really on the cusp of getting the first version of this out the door. It's going to come out mid-December with our R4 release. By the way, little plug here, the R4 release will also include some Apple Silicon native components. We'll introduce that as a beta for our users. They'll be able to kind of test out how Pro Tools behaves on Silicon Mac. So if you're a plugin maker and you're excited about M1 native for Pro Tools, I encourage you to, if you haven't started, get going, or talk to us if we can help on that front. So that release is planned for mid-December. You will get a subset, fairly small subset of controls for now, and we'll go over those in a minute. And then with every new Pro Tools release, we'll add more commands, which is also why we want to start establishing the dialogue with the community, because as we prioritize adding those different commands inside of the scripting SDK, we want to start knowing what you guys need the most. And that will help us kind of get the right things out the door as quickly as we can. So without further ado, I'll hand it back to Paul and let you tell us more about what the scripting SDK is.
Yeah, so the scripting SDK works. It's a client-side library that you can put into your application. It could be a separate application. It could be a plugin that runs inside the Pro Tools process. It uses network sockets, so it could potentially even be on another machine. If not in this release, then another. And Pro Tools is there listening for what you can automate with it. There are a big collection of commands that allows you to do most editing actions inside Pro Tools. There's a handful of commands that allow you to do things that aren't accessible from the UI. And we hope that list will expand. We have a big backlog, but we're looking for, if you have specific requests. And as Francois mentions, it's language independent. So we offer you the client library. We include the source code for a C++ adapter, so you can bring it into your C++ applications, but it could be easily adapted for other scripting languages like Python and whatnot with a little bit of effort. We hope to add new language support in the future, but as I said, we provide the source code for it, for that client library, so you can adapt it to whatever environment you want to run in. The scripting language, scripting SDK allows you to even automate things like launching Pro Tools, performing actions, and getting out of there. So the audience is, anyone from current plugin developers to, let's say, facilities or power users who want to automate, automate repetitive tasks. A lot of customers in the post-production world have complex tasks. And then we also want to enable applications that, currently jump through hoops to automate Pro Tools, such as SoundFlow is one that we've been working closely with to facilitate those workflows as well. We have a listing of APIs here. We won't go through all of them here. But,
I thought we were going to really specifically enumerate every single one.
It's a long list in a variety of areas. But if you want to get more details about it, come find us afterwards, and we'd be happy to go through it with you.
I can do that.
Yeah. And what's next? Do we have a demo?
Yes, we do have a demo.
And Sam, did you want to talk us through the demo, or is that?
Sure, yeah. So it's pretty basic what we have at the moment, but it's a good proof of concept. Just to show you how simple this is, there's a list of text commands, and these are just the API calls. And in a second, you'll see a terminal script running, and all it does is just run through the text file. It's just a TXT file, and it's that sort of bare bones that we can demonstrate it really happening. So you can use it like this if you really want to, but in practice, we're expecting applications to, with a proper UI, be able to sort of control Pro Tools and automate some tasks. So we'll, if you press next, it should start playing, but maybe we need to press a play button.
One more time.
Yeah, one more time.
Yeah, it's one at the bottom left.
Oh, yeah, there we go. The technically challenged at work.
There we go. So yeah, the text file's on the left, Pro Tools session on the top, and this just zips through them. So it's things like find a track called something, go and rename it something else. Be able to get this audio at this point, trim it, copy it, go to another track, paste. All these sorts of things. And it gives you a little readout, so it's helpful for debugging as well. So this is a really basic example, but we're hoping in the future to be able to add even more features to the SDK, to be able to bring even more amazing workflows. It does run locally, so you can't be anywhere else on the network or the internet and remotely control Pro Tools without having something in between, which you can write, of course. So if you want to write a remote control iPad app to then control Pro Tools, then you certainly can, but it'll be up to you to write the glue in the middle. But the thing that controls Pro Tools is all there for you. And the commands that you probably won't have been able to read through, there's a bunch of get commands and set commands. You can actually get timeline position, get some data out of it. So we're looking forward to seeing cross-platform support for applications like SoundFlow, but also like Flow Tools for accessibility. That's certainly better on Mac than it is on Windows, just because of the level of accessibility that we've got. But because you'll be able to actually grab session data and information on the fly and be able to do something with it in real time, we're hoping to really sort of open this up to lots of creative ways. So yeah, we're kind of looking forward to the kind of unknown and what this opens up. Yeah, there's a couple more slides. So yeah, so how it's really going to work, it's open for everybody. You don't need a Pro Tools subscription to be able to get hold of the SDKs. Just head, in the future, mid-December, head to developer.avid.com, you'll be able to sign up. Free sign up, anybody can download a development certificate. That's a timed certificate that will last 30 days, and you can renew that as you need it. So you can do your own internal application testing and developing. And then when you're ready to make the leap, you'll get certified by us, and we'll be able to give you a permanent certificate, and then you can build that into your applications. And there's fairly broad use cases. There will be some terms and conditions for everybody to adhere to, so you can't just build another door using it. But you'll be able to create internal tools for yourself and just keep it internal. So for enterprises or Netflix or Warner Brothers, if you've got internal tools that you just want to create yourself and you've got your own development team, then go for it. But we're looking to also allow you to commercialize it. So if you want to sell that as a workflow enhancement to your current plugins, you can put that together on your own web stores. But also we're looking to expand our current marketplace to be able to sell directly to all our Pro Tools users as well. And then there's future partnering opportunities if there's an application that we agree that would be beneficial for everybody to have access to, then we can come up with the commercial agreement with that as well. So lots of ways that we can partner with each other and come up with some pretty cool new workflows to make Pro Tools even more capable.
Yeah, I think one thing I'd add is we really welcome sort of any commercial conversation as well. So if you're like a really small company and you want to get the exposure and sort of reach out to the entire Pro Tools community and want to leverage Avid's sort of marketplace engine, which is going through a lot of upgrades and improvements right now and over the next year, just know that we're absolutely open to that and help you guys gain traction with Pro Tools users. And open to any partnership ideas as well beyond what we're listing here.
Sure. So the scripting SDK is one of many future SDKs that we've got on the roadmap. The next slide goes through a few of them. So we've got more AOA and Axe implementation, so you can join the work that we've started with the last Pro Tools release. There's a satellite SDK, which is really for sample accurate synchronization. So if you've got multiple Pro Tools systems, you can sync them all up to sample accuracy. There's a new clip effects SDK that we're going to be working on. All of these are going to be next year and beyond. As we flesh out what we've got in the scripting SDK. The clip effects will allow you to insert your own effects into the clip effects. So each clip can have its own effect on, which you can do today, but only with our clip effects UI, you'll be able to hook into to that directly. And then a Pano SDK is something pretty new and exciting to allow you to get the pan data directly from the track, and it will be post-fade information. You'll be able to write your own spatial audio workflows with that we're building on the various standards that are out there. But if you're working on your own and want to integrate with that, then there's that coming. So lots more, and I think the main message we want to sort of get across to everybody today is that we are open. We are opening up. This is a new sort of venture for Avid. We've obviously had the Axe plugins for a while, and the Sibelius SDKs are all quite niche, so you can make a little iPad app of a sheet music reader and things for your web stores. But this is a new venture for us for Pro Tools, and it's all nice and open. So we're really looking forward to seeing what people can achieve with it, and what will come next year.
Yeah. Thanks, Sam. And obviously, this is actually a partial list. Like, there's a bunch of other endeavors that we're looking into that are pretty transformational, actually, that we are going to be looking at in the next few years. But just like our development philosophy is also evolving as a result. As you guys know, Pro Tools is a behemoth. It's been around for 30 years. Parts of it are 30 years old, and parts of it are more recent. And we're sort of changing our development ethos in that we are trying to have an API-first approach to development and trying to create APIs for our own benefit so that our testing and our own sort of development is easier, but also that some of it might actually make it to the developer community and become more open. And so that, to me, that's extremely exciting. That's something that me and my team in product management had been wanting to do for a while. And so it's good to see the first fruit of that labor with the scripting SDK and some of the initiatives that we're listing out here. Some of them are actually, like a satellite SDK, for example, is actually somewhat in existence today. So if you guys have a compelling use case for that kind of work, talk to us, and we can share some information as well, if that would be beneficial to your workflow. But we're also trying, some of those are in various states of usability, so we want to make sure that they're really buttoned up and have all the information you need to not have to do too much digging to figure out how these things work. So I hope this is exciting to the community. It really is for us. We're all the team, and Dave Tyler in the room over here. Do you want to stand, Dave? Because Dave has been with us for many, many moons. He's a mainstay of the industry here. He's done a lot for Pro Tools over the years, and we just brought him into my organization, looking after partnerships and developers. So Dave is going to be one of the main point of contacts for you guys going forward. If you need anything facilitated within Avid, any communication with our engineering teams, any conversations around commercial agreements and sponsorships, like Dave's the man. Dave.tyler@avid.com. Go ahead, start spamming him now. Before we go to questions, if you guys have questions, I just wanted to also put in a plug for the fact that we are hiring, and it's been a really, really exciting year for Avid. We've been opening up a lot of positions in our software development organization. We still have some key vacancies to fill. Very flexible on location. Especially in Europe, we have a lot of actual Avid offices around the place, and that allows us to enable developers and employees around the European area. And we're also open to helping people relocate if needed. So you can come see us at the booth if you want more information on some of the jobs that are available. And also we have an email address, which is audiojobs@avid.com. And actually, the guy who is driving a lot of our recruitment efforts has been an absolute rock star in getting amazing people through the door. Is Raj? Raj, you want to stand up so people will recognize you and come see you? So Raj is based in our, are you still in Poland? Spain. Oh, you're in Spain now. Lucky you. So Raj is in Spain, and if you have any interest in one of those, feel free to reach out to us. And this concludes our presentation, and wondering if you guys have questions, especially with Paul here, who's like the main software architect for Pro Tools. Knock yourselves out.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you, François and colleagues. We've got time for about 3 or 4 questions before lunch. Anyone? Any takers? One at the back here. We've got the other mic there. You haven't got the other mic.
Hi, I just wanted to ask about spatial audio. Kind of generally, what's the timeline for that? But maybe more specifically, there are a bunch of standards in the broadcast world, like audio definition model and BW64, that I wouldn't mind working with in Pro Tools. And you can do that to some extent with Dolby plugins, but I'm wondering what the possibility for more of that would be in the nearish future.
Yeah, with all the different competing standards out there, we want to let the community work with what they would like. So we just want to enable the workflows and enable especially plugin developers to develop the tools to work in that. So in that regard, we're aiming to expand the AX SDK with the components that plugin developers would need in order to bring their own panning and spatial audio rendering into Pro Tools. So hopefully the answer is all of them, and that plugin developers will be able to develop their own for emerging standards or experimental ones.
We're also looking at, and obviously we have teams working on this today, about sort of taking the current capabilities of Pro Tools from an immersive audio standpoint, which are very focused on ambisonics and Dolby Atmos today, but continuing that effort into modernizing the underlying infrastructure in Pro Tools to better support every format and better integration of rendering capabilities for these different formats in Pro Tools.
I will say that we're early in the design phase of that. Those additions to the SDK and are very open to feedback. So if you're a plugin developer working in spatial audio, we would love your feedback to help influence that design, and you can send that to developer services or Dave Tyler there, who we've mentioned before.
Dave.Tyler@avid.com.
Okay, we've got time for one more from the audience. Apologies to the online people. We don't have anyone in the Discord, but one more over here.
Are all your SDKs now available without a developer account, or just the new scripting API?
Without or with?
Oh, without.
Oh, they're all available with the developer account, but it's easy to get a developer.
There was some distinction about the new openness that didn't require maybe a license. That's essentially what the question is.
Yeah, you don't need a Pro Tools license for the scripting SDK, but you will need an account because we provide the downloads there and things. So it's run sort of, it almost looks like the same place, but it's my.avid.com, and then your regular products, but then there's a developer page that'll have all your SDKs and all the documentation. There's a new certificate page that's going up that'll handle all of that. So you will need an account, and we need to know who you are and that sort of thing. But to script Pro Tools, so you can use any tier of Pro Tools, and Pro Tools intro is free, so you can get going straight away. So if you've got workflows that you want to enable even sort of more mass market for Pro Tools intro, then you can distribute those amongst the community as well.
Cheers.
All right, thank you very much. Can we have one more round of applause for François and his colleagues?
Thank you.